Welcome to the Silver Screen Podcast. I'm Jared Boomer.
And I'm Katie Gainey West. This is a podcast about movies and pop culture.
And today we are reviewing Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Big contender for the Oscars, getting lots of Oscar buzz. So we wanted to talk about it. We felt like it was time to do a review. It's been out for a couple of weeks at this point, but it seems like it's going to be a big player for the Academy Awards. So we felt like it was necessary to talk about, and a very interesting movie too. Lots of themes and things that are happening in this movie that are, worth discussion, I think.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I try to resist a movie, like if everybody is talking about it. And this one, I just thought, I don't know. Honestly, I didn't like the trailer for the movie. I was like, this looks so weird. And to me, I didn't think about Paul Thomas Anderson. I just thought, I don't think that movie's going to do well. And this, mind you, was the first time I saw the trailer, which was months and months ago. But everybody has been talking about it and raving about it. And I was like, Jared, we got to do an episode. And it's our favorite time of year. It's officially Oscar season.
It is. I would say this definitely kicked off Oscar season. So
Yes.
we are underway, and we are, getting rolling with Oscar season now. So we do have some news items, though, before we talk about One Battle After Another. Obviously, something big that happened since the last time we recorded is that the Louvre was robbed. They still have not, at this point, found the people that did it.
No, they did.
They did find the people that did it.
Yes, okay. They've arrested. Jared, I have to tell you.
I think I heard they had arrested people, but had they recovered the jewelry and stuff? Okay.
And that was
the part that I was. Yes.
Okay, and they won't disclose where it is, but I think it's gone. But the two guys were on their way to leave. They were both about to board planes to vacate the country. Very exciting.
And they got them just before, right?
Just in time. To me, here are my thoughts about it. I'm going to keep myself. Actually, I don't know if you ever listened to the Las Culturistas podcast, and they do.
I have not.
Oh, they do a 1 minute thing where you can argue your point. So I'm going to give myself 30 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Let me actually time myself. So I forget what they call it. It's "Oh no, you didn't, honey" or something, where you get to argue your point. Okay. Minutes. We don't want minutes. Okay. Here's my 30 seconds on the Louvre thing. Okay. Can I just tell you, I feel very badly for the Louvre and the French people. Obviously, I have an obsession with the French people and their culture, except I am so tired of hearing about war and famine and SNAP benefits being taken away and political leaders being idiots. And when I heard there was a good old-fashioned jewel heist, I was like, thank God, what a beautiful day. And before 10 a.m. that morning, that Netflix had already bought the rights to buy a film. Guaranteed it. That's what I think. I absolutely loved it. That was 30 seconds. There we go.
That was great. There you go. There's the timer. So.
Thank you. I did it. So that's my thoughts.
That's the thoughts on the Louvre. Crazy situation. Crazy that it even happened.
Seriously.
And honestly cannot wait until we probably find out more. Maybe we'll find out where the jewels went eventually. But like you said, I don't know if we ever will. So, yeah. And obviously there's going to be a big trial involving this. So that'll be interesting to follow when that happens. And yeah, I think we have a, Night at the Museum, Da Vinci Code type movie
Ocean's
on
11.
our hands here. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. I mean, it's just, get ready for that Oscar season 2028, the movie about the Louvre heist. So, a celebrity couple update. Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry are officially together. There was some speculation about are they, aren't they? They've been to many events in the past couple of weeks, publicly photographed, saying, we're out here, we're doing this. And what a interesting celebrity couple. One that I would never put together, but I guess it works. But for Katy Perry, it seems like this might be the most normal person that she's dated in quite a while.
For sure. You can say that again. I'm confused by this couple. I don't care, which is kind of nice. I don't feel strongly about it, but I'm just kind of like, what a super odd pairing.
Yeah, very strange. So that's basically all we have on that. And then another couple that is together, Sophie Turner and Chris Martin are officially dating.
I don't support this. And I'm going to get too amped if I keep talking about it. So it's a no for me.
I find that this is so interesting to me because both of them previously had done the same thing in their relationship where Sophie Turner dated a musician in Joe Jonas,
Uh-huh.
and Chris Martin dated an actress in Dakota Johnson. So it's like
Yes.
the worlds are crossing over once again for both of them. So they both must
Yeah.
be attracted to that other profession for
Do you know
some
what
reason.
else
So,
is even weirder? Is that a couple years ago, when Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner were still married, he gifted her, like basically for her birthday, a call with Chris Martin because she loved him.
okay.
And she like cried on the call. This was recorded for something. And I saw that the other day and I was like, this is gross. But I just am so hardcore about Dakota Johnson and I love Chris Martin. So I'm like, I'm really upset about this one.
And honestly, I did not hear much about that breakup from either side. The Joe Jonas Sophie Turner one was obviously much more public, and probably because
Mm-hmm.
they had kids and were married, and so they had to officially divorce and everything.
Right.
But the Chris Martin Dakota Johnson one, it was just kind of like they broke up, but neither side really commented on it, wasn't asked about it. It didn't seem
Mm-hmm.
like so. It just seemed very maybe even amicable in terms of the breakup and not deciding not to discuss it with the media or press or
Joe and
anything.
Sophie.
No, Chris and Dakota.
Oh, I
I
do.
think
Yes.
Joe
Yeah,
and
that one
Sophie's has
was
been talked about a lot.
bad.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yep.
say, but yes, Dakota and Chris, yeah, I think they're really good about being private. Like both of them are very private people. Yeah.
We also had a big celebrity death. Diane Keaton passed away. Of course, very famous actress, was in a lot of fantastic movies. And it was really cool when she passed away to see some of those movies that she was in get some recognition and
Mm-hmm.
be brought back to the spotlight. And people were watching them and posting on social media about how they enjoyed them and they just how they enjoyed her performances. And she was in so many classic, timeless movies throughout the decades that she was an actress. So there's so many good Diane Keaton movies that you can watch, and
Yeah.
she was great in just about every movie she was in.
Truly. I can't even tell you a favorite Diane Keaton movie, but I have seen many, many, many of them. I have complicated feelings. Like I personally very much look up to her, but I have very complicated feelings about her intense defense of Woody Allen her whole life. That was upsetting to me. Um, but I was never romantically involved with him, so who knows? Who knows? I don't know. But I did just read her book Then Again, which is one of her few books that she wrote, and it was really beautiful. It wasn't like the most moving, like 5-star read I've ever read, but it was really good. And for anyone who worries about like their age, if worries about a biological clock, things like that, she adopted kids past age 50, her first one at age 50. And a lot of that book is grieving the death of her parents. She talks about losing her parents. And then she talks about adopting her kids. And it was really beautiful. And she seemed like such a sensible woman. And I love her. I think she had such a good impact. And I haven't read one negative comment about her. People seem to have really genuine, kind things to say about her, both on and off screen, how she treated them. So good on her. And she will be missed forever. But this, on the heels of Robert Redford dying, I was like, this is too much for me. I'm done with 2025.
No more big celebrity deaths. So,
Yeah.
and then you wanted to talk about Love is Blind on Netflix. So, Love is
Yeah.
Blind, I haven't watched
Yeah.
Love is Blind in a while. I did watch the first season, I want to say, and the second season, and I think somewhere around maybe the third season is when I kind of just dropped out. But I know
Mm-hmm.
it's been going on since then. The concept is the same if you don't know what it is. It's these people basically live in these pods and they talk to each other and they get to know one another without seeing what the other person looks like. And so the whole premise of the show is that you're supposed to, find somebody based on their personality and your similar interests and things like that without the physical appearance becoming a factor.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
But all
so
the people that get on the show are insanely hot. So let's just throw that out there
yeah,
too.
they really are. Like, if they're not really picking people that
They're
are
not like picking like Joe Schmo from
difficult to
like
look at.
Iowa or anything.
No,
Yeah.
no offense to Iowa, but
Yeah.
okay, I'm giving myself 45 seconds for this one.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm starting the time now. Okay, Jared, first of all, you're the smart one, and you should get all the kudos because no one should be watching the show anymore. Netflix needs to cancel it. Secondly, season 1 is the only one that ever worked. People couldn't have been happier for Lauren and Cameron. They just had a baby. Congratulations. Love them. I thought the show, the experiment, actually worked then. Like, it worked for what it was. It was the same like
Hmm.
The Bachelor. The show The Bachelor worked the first time around. It will never work again. It never has worked again as successfully as the first time. Well, really, I should say Bachelorette because Trista is who I'm referring to. Doesn't matter. Love is Blind sucks. Everyone is despicable. They are not there for the right reasons. They are all gross. The reunion was a complete waste of time. I hated everyone except for Jordan on this season, who was a single dad and was a phenomenal human being. Everybody else, awful.
Okay. Wow.
Wow.
Finished before the time was up.
Yeah,
I
so
think
it's
the other
terrible. Cancel it.
my other quick comment on Love is Blind is that I think the first season worked well because people didn't know what it was. So like when these people signed up for it, they didn't know exactly what they were getting into. And so they were able to have like I feel like a more natural experience. But now people that go on the show, they have obviously been able to watch past seasons and so they know like what they're getting into. And so they can
Yes.
kind of know what the experience is going to be or how to like manipulate that experience.
Yeah, and I agree. Premise wise, I think it's really smart. It's smart to encourage people to fall in love with someone for their personality because I
Hmm.
do think when we're young and healthy, we do forget it fades. And when you're deep in the trenches with like a newborn, or when you're moving, like buying a new house, when you're traveling, all of these things that can be stressful in life, you really realize then, oh, if you married the right person or not, or if you have chosen a life partner, whatever your situation is. But I feel like it's not super realistic to fall in love this way. I think it's good to remind people care about the inside, not the outside. But I do think people kind of need both. You do think about things like what would our children look like, all of that. And people are not asking the real questions. What are your political beliefs? Do you want to raise kids in a church? What are your thoughts on gender identity? Like
These
things that
issues.
you should
Yeah. Yeah.
finances. Like what
Hmm.
how, do you save money? Do you have a 401k? Do you care about those things? How do you want to talk to kids about this? What about gun violence? Like we should ask those questions. No one's asking that in the pod. They'll show like one couple that's like, yeah, so like, what do you think about like God? And then there's like a 30-second discussion and they move on. And I'm like, this is not how you pick a person to spend your life
And
with.
then the next question will be like, so if I was in the room with you right now, what would you do to me? And that's like the
Exactly.
conversations.
Exactly. So it's a complete mess. Like I enjoy reality TV. Obviously, I have a problem, but at the same time, I'm I think pretty level-headed. And so when I watch it, I'm like, well, this is silly. But I think a lot of these people don't realize it's silly, and that is the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
it's
you had
terrible though. It's gross. They got to get rid of it. Please, Netflix, we are all begging you. We don't need it anymore.
we could be
Start
done.
working on that Louvre movie, okay? Please.
Get that in the works. So we've also been watching some other stuff. Katie has been watching a lot of TV. I've been seeing some movies, so we're going to talk about both of those things. I know you've been keeping up with your Real Housewives, so
Sure.
let's see here. This is Real Housewives of Orange County, correct? And
Uh-huh.
Salt Lake City? Okay.
Correct. Now these seasons are giving. OC just ended.
Okay, Andy Cohen, bring it down a second.
I love Andy Cohen. Okay. These seasons were great. OC, I think it can be boring, but dang, they meet up for. We are talking the last episode of the season. People were tripping on shrooms in Amsterdam. This is real.
Wow, okay.
And putting their father's ashes in the canal, which I think has to be
That's
illegal.
kind of
Like,
sweet.
well, it's
I
sweet,
don't
but I
yeah,
think like it's illegal in
you
a lot of
mentioned that.
places
Yeah.
to do that. Like I don't know, maybe they got permission and maybe it's legal there because it is Amsterdam. I've been there. But so that was interesting. And then there were accusations about liking inappropriate posts on Instagram that were like homophobic, which absolutely that's a problem. There was like, oh, it's so good. But what my problem is the season should have been that good the whole way through, and it was only good the last like 4 episodes. Okay.
Okay.
Salt Lake City, perfection. No notes. That is the best cast. It's the best. Atlanta is one of my favorites of all time, but Salt Lake City has consistently given us everything we want from a Real Housewives show every season they've been on, and they haven't been on that long. Phenomenal. They're still going, like their season is still on. But fantastic if you need a watch. And I don't have much to say about I've been watching the morning show. I'm enjoying it, like I'm still enjoying it, but for me it's just definitely
You're
like
like
a
the
mid.
you got to be the only person still watching the morning show.
No.
'Cause that's another one that I bailed on.
I I love it because Billy Crudup is beautiful. And my loyalty to Jen Aniston and Reese Witherspoon knows no bounds. Except, well, really, Reese's book club I've backed away from, but whatever. Moving on. And then I watched Selling Sunset. Oh, and Dancing with the Stars. Okay, Selling Sunset, I'll say, also a mess. Everybody is despicable, like I mentioned. Are you seeing similarities? I think sometimes I will fight for Real Housewives and other reality shows because I'm like, okay, this is still like a really good time. It's messy, but it's fun. It's good, clean fun. Some of it is like so disturbing. It's gross to watch. Selling Sunset veered into that territory this year. I don't even want to get into it, but if anyone listening is a Selling Sunset fan or you were disgusted by this recent season that came out, contact me, DM me, we'll talk about it. Dancing with the Stars. If you all need a pick me up, I hadn't watched Dancing with the Stars in a couple years. It used to be one of my favorite shows. This season has been spectacular. All the people on it are interesting people. They picked top notch, like people from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Alex Earl, Jordan Childs, the gymnast, Robert Irwin, Steve Irwin's son, and he's phenomenal. It's just been such a good season and it has a lot of heart. Elaine Hendricks, who was in The Parent Trap, if anybody is like me, my age, and you loved the Parent Trap remake with Lindsay Lohan, she was the one that played like the evil woman, the evil stepmom, and she's been a joy to watch. It has been such a good season, and if you want something uplifting, that's the best show to watch right now on TV.
Well, those are great thoughts on all those TV shows. So,
Thanks, Jared.
glad you're enjoying some and not enjoying others. Selling Sunset, another one that I've watched episodes of, just real quick, like really interesting premise first season. Like, look at these realtors selling these super expensive homes to
Oh,
like
for
these
sure.
millionaires. Like, cool. And then it just got like to be not about the homes at all and just about the drama between the realtors and the people selling the houses. So,
Yeah, and it's gotten worse. They're into the drama now where it's not even fun. They didn't even show. There wasn't a single sale I watched done on camera this season. They did have two. I think there were two deals where she was like, "I closed on this house today." At the very end, but
just
there was
getting away
no
from what
like
the show was all about
yeah,
initially.
and people got upset. Like this season was different because there were wildfires in like the Pacific
Oh,
Palisades and
yeah.
stuff, which
Yep.
was terrible. But then the other main premise was Mary's house got robbed, which is traumatizing and awful. But the rest of the season was talking about if someone sending her flowers was a genuine gesture or not. And I was like, I understand getting your house broken into is terrible. It doesn't matter if you're rich or not. I understand that's traumatizing. I appreciate that. But the fact that she was then getting upset because she didn't like the way someone decided to show kindness to her. And then nobody was talking about the Pacific Palisades fire anymore. And I was like, these people are straight up homeless. Like they've lost their belongings. Your heirlooms, because you're a multimillionaire, yeah, they got stolen. That's terrible. But you're a multimillionaire. You can
Hmm.
buy more things. Other
Yeah.
people don't have a place to live. And like every baby book, article of clothing, cars, family heirlooms of theirs were destroyed.
Hmm.
Crazy. It was just like they're lacking all awareness.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
terrible. And I hate that they make so much money when I'm like there's people, the rest of us out here in the world, civilians that are probably doing good things but not making enough money, but we're not concerned about things like, those flowers, that wasn't a genuine gesture. How are you to know if it's a genuine gesture or
Yeah.
not? And why do you care? Move on. Anyway,
So,
sorry.
I've been watching a lot of movies, some that are getting
Yes.
some awards buzz and things. Let's go worst to best here.
Okay.
I'm gonna rank these real quick. Worst by far, and it pains me to say this, was Anemone with Daniel Day Lewis and Sean Bean, directed by Daniel Day Lewis's son. Daniel Day Lewis's son, who his name is Ronan, not a great director, not really knowing how to use Daniel Day Lewis properly. This movie takes place in like a cabin in the woods, and it is just a bunch of monologues, basically back and forth. And there's not a ton
Oh.
happening. It's very slow. It's very dark. It's very boring. It's just not very good. And it, if it was somebody other than Daniel Day Lewis in this movie, I don't even think we'd probably be talking about it. But the fact that he returned to acting, and was this was the role that he was going to pursue with his son directing, I feel like is why it's getting talked about. But this was like an
Hmm.
awards contender a couple months ago. Now I would say it's probably not getting awards buzz at this point.
Right, right.
um Next up in the ranking would probably be The Smashing Machine with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. Dwayne Johnson plays a fighter in the movie, basically, who is also dealing with substance abuse. And so it's a very serious role for Dwayne Johnson. And Emily Blunt plays his girlfriend, who also has some issues of her own, and wife. They get married, I believe, if I remember correctly, at one point in the movie too. So this one, directed by one of the Safdie brothers, just kind of is, again, it's not bad, but it's just not that interesting. I feel like they could have done a lot more with it if they would have dived deeper into like the opioid addiction problem, or like him trying to like put on a positive attitude while all these things were crashing down around him. And Dwayne Johnson's performance is very good, and so is Emily Blunt's. It's just that the movie doesn't really have a lot to say that's like super duper interesting, and I feel like it really could have if they had like delved into the life of this person just a little bit more. So that would be my thoughts on The Smashing Machine. Next up would be probably House of Dynamite, which is the new movie on Netflix directed by Catherine Bigelow. Basically, a missile is headed towards the Earth, and the various teams in Washington, D.C. basically have to stop it. So, or try to figure out what their plan is. So, you see the same kind of 20 minutes play out over three different perspectives. First, from like the command center, basically in the White House or for the government, and that is where Rebecca Ferguson, that's her kind of role in this movie. Then you see it play out from the point of the military, and that's Tracy Letts, who is kind of in charge of that area of things, and in terms of what's happening with the military aspect of it. And then you see it play out from the perspective of the president, who in this movie is Idris Elba. So that same situation happens three times. First time, it's really, really interesting. It's really thrilling. You're on the edge of your seat. You're like, what's going to happen? This is so tense. But then when you replay that a second and then a third time, it just loses a lot of its like momentum and kind of fizzles out. I would have liked if they had done a little something different with the different perspectives, if you had left something maybe up in the air a little bit more, if you had built on the story a little bit more, things like that. But again, I just did not think this was like amazing from Catherine Bigelow, which is a little disappointing because I do
Yeah.
really enjoy a lot of her movies. So,
Yeah,
and
I do plan to watch this one, but I feel like this is a lot like Anemone, where a lot of people were early on saying, "Oh, it's Catherine Bigelow, so Oscar
mhm.
buzz." And I've heard nothing about it other than seeing it come up on Netflix, and I knew you watched it. So I'll give it a try, but I'm glad it wasn't like a wide release that I paid to go see in the movie theater.
Yeah, so it is, again, it's not bad, and I think the first 45 minutes are really good. But then after that, it just kind of the next hour, it kind of just slows down a lot, and you just kind of get bored with it. So, next up would probably be Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere, the biopic about Bruce Springsteen, starring Jeremy Allen White, and also Jeremy Strong plays Bruce Springsteen's manager in the movie. This is about Bruce Springsteen when he is making the album Nebraska, which is a very quiet album, very personal album for Bruce Springsteen. And so it takes you through that process. There's not a lot of scenes in this movie of Bruce like performing in front of big crowds and like things that typically happen in music biopics. And I think that's one reason why I enjoyed it so much, is because it was really about the album making process. And a lot of the movie takes place in houses and in diners and bars and things like that. So very, very well written, very like personal conversations that are happening. Jeremy Allen White and Jeremy Strong are both really, really good in this movie. And I would say for Jeremy Strong, his performance really impressed me, because this is such like a heartwarming performance based on characters that he's played before. So the man, I guess, does have a little bit of a soul. He's not just Kendall on Succession, or
Yeah,
uh, who did he play in the Trump movie? I forget.
Cohn, wasn't
So
it? Wasn't it
yeah, Roy
Cohen? Yeah,
Cohen. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is a great performance from Jeremy Strong and Jeremy Allen White. Really enjoyable. I would say even if you don't like Bruce Springsteen's music, you can still enjoy this one, because I found the album making process really interesting, and just kind of what Bruce was going through with some personal things that were happening in his life at that time as well. He's trying to deal with a relationship. He's trying to deal with his parents, and also trying to deal with the fact that he had kind of an abusive father, and a father who was kind of an alcoholic all the time when he was younger. And so you see flashbacks of that throughout the movie. So thought it really did a really good job of kind of telling the story of how, Bruce Springsteen made the Nebraska album. So
That's awesome. I really do think I'm going to see that. I kind of just need to figure out when. But great.
So we have two more to talk about. The next one up on the list, which would probably be the best movie of these that I saw, is Blue Moon. This is directed by Richard Linklater, stars Ethan Hawke, who plays Lorenz Hart, who before Rogers and Hammerstein did all of their stuff together, it was Rogers and Hart. So this movie takes place on the night that Oklahoma is opening, which is Rogers and Hammerstein's first like production together, and you see it through the eyes of Lorenz Hart, and it basically takes place entirely in a bar. So it's kind of called what is called usually like a chamber piece, where it just takes place in like one central location for the entire movie. Andrew Scott is in it. He plays Richard Rogers. You also have Marco Qualley and Bobby Cannavale in the movie as well. This is really well done for the type of movie it's trying to be. It's not trying to be anything insanely action packed or with a lot of epic scene changes or anything like that. It's just trying to be a movie about kind of conversations, but the conversations in the movie are really good and really well written, and really well acted between everybody that is in this movie. Ethan Hawke will likely get an Oscar nomination for his role. Andrew Scott will probably get an Oscar nomination for his role as well. And just a really good conversation movie. Not one that I think you necessarily need to go see in a movie theater, but a really interesting topic. And also, you get to kind of see how this affects Ethan Hawke's character of Lorenz Hart in terms of he was at the height of like superstardom, at one point, and then he kind of gets dropped down when he is passed over for this musical Oklahoma, which then they find out obviously is a very, very popular musical. And you kind of go through opening night with the cast and the crew and Rogers and Hammerstein kind of finding that out as the movie goes on. So that one was really good and a really enjoyable movie. Another one that was, I would say, well made, but was not enjoyable. And I know you watched this too, Katie, and this is probably going to win Best Documentary at the Oscars, or at least get nominated, is The Perfect Neighbor on Netflix. This movie is done entirely with body cam footage and like
Yeah.
Ring security cameras.
Mm-hmm.
There is no narrator. There are no sit down interviews like you would normally have in a documentary,
Mm-hmm.
but you're seeing this situation play out between neighbors of different races in this complex in Florida. And at one point in the movie, one neighbor kills another one.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
is kind of what happens, and then dealing with the aftermath of that. But it is a very emotional, very powerful movie, not easy to watch at all, but I think an important movie and one
Mm-hmm.
that is still relevant, obviously, for today, and a very relevant movie for today. But what did you think about the Perfect Neighbor?
I mean, part of me wants to say hold me back because I could talk about this for 45 minutes. I won't, but um I also think it could definitely win documentary. It won't be up against like the theatrical ones like My Mom Jane by Mariska Hargitay, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but I just know that right now there's a lot of buzz of it's gonna
Yeah.
get nominated for Best Documentary, and it could likely win Best
Because
Documentary
I think
too.
My Mom Jane could also get nominated and would be a good contender there. I don't know if they are the same category though. Anyway, um, I will tell you, I knew right when it started I was going to be irate by the end. I could tell where this was going. It's not like it's shocking, but it's like you can definitely tell what's about to
What's gonna
unfold.
happen? Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the footage in the interrogation room was incredible. I thought the length of the film was great. I loved the inventive way of using the body cam footage. I thought that was really clever. Everything you said they left out, I thought was really clever, as far as like no sit down interviews, all that. Without spoiling it, I do think if people don't want to know about it, you want to go watch it, I would say turn this off for like the next minute.
Hmm.
Okay. So what I'll say is I was appreciative of the ending in the trial. That's what I'll say. I didn't expect the ending, the outcome that was at the trial that happened. And that actually did make me feel like there was some justice. And that was a really nice surprise because I feel like you hear about a lot of these racial cases, racially motivated cases, and it doesn't go in favor, of the very clear
Hmm.
person.
Yeah. Yep.
So I really appreciated that. I thought it was super well done. It's upsetting, but I think that's also why it's good to watch at home. And I think it would lead to a lot of great discussions with like family members, things like that. So great documentary. And I saw a couple memes that are kind of funny, but they were saying, who were they saying that we used to hate? And they're like, now the most hated person in America is this. And it was that woman.
That woman.
Her name
Yeah.
is not Karen, but now I can't remember her name, but they kept saying she's a Karen. Nancy? Was it Nancy?
I will look real quick.
I don't know,
here.
but I hated her. So anyway, yeah, good documentary.
Susan.
Susan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought it was really well made and a good documentary. There were some things in it that I thought were maybe just a little too personal that maybe should have been left out. And I know I've seen that kind of sentiment online a little bit as well. Like the part in the documentary where they have to tell the children that their mother has died. While it is a very powerful part of the documentary, I almost feel like I'm
Oh,
watching something that I should not be seeing.
yes. That was upsetting, and I was crying a lot in my room watching it by myself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
everything
agree
else,
with
I
you. That
think
might have been too much.
when they told the dad that his, they had been
Yeah.
separated basically at this point, but that she had passed away, I'm fine with that. He's an
Mhm.
adult,
Yep.
but
Yep.
and I'm sure maybe they cleared it with the children, saying, do
Mhm.
you want this to be in the documentary or whatever? I don't know the behind the scenes of it, but that was a very like powerful moment. That
I was
was
going to say,
a
I
little
agree
much.
with you. I wouldn't put the kid footage in there, but part of me thinks some people need to see things like that
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
fully grasp what has happened here.
Yeah. Yeah. And the
Um,
reality of what happened. So,
yeah, yeah.
okay. Well,
On to brighter
I
topics.
On to brighter topics. Are we ready to move on to one battle after another, or
Yeah.
do you have reading things real quick?
Well, all I'll say, I have 2 book recommendations. I
Okay.
won't dwell on them or anything. But I read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This is a book that came out in the 90s and has experienced a resurgence purely because of Book Talk and Bookstagram. So good. It was originally written in French by a
Okay.
Belgian woman. It is sci-fi and dystopian, 2 things I hate, and I loved it, and it's probably going to be in my top 5 of the year. The other one is The Academy by Elin Hilderbrand. I really liked this. It was about a boarding school. Elin Hilderbrand writes a bunch of beach reads, things like that. It was really well done, though. And if you like reading about a boarding school of people kind of behaving badly, but you want to know the inner workings of a boarding school, great fall book. And then I did want to tell you, since I alluded to these in other episodes, I listened to the Culture Study podcast with Anne Helen Peterson. The episode on July 23rd I listened to recently because she doesn't do them all the time. And it was about book publishing trends. And since I have a lot of friends, and hopefully we have listeners here that really like to read, it was a great listen. It's a free podcast, but you have to pay for a paywall if you want extra stuff. But it was so good. Again, it was the July 23rd episode, and it just talked about things like Reese Witherspoon's book club, for example, and how that used to be a really good premise, but a lot of those celeb book clubs are not picking up steam now because a lot of it is self-serving, and it's like, oh, I just want the rights to this film. So it's not really for book readers. Very interesting. And then The Daily. I love The Daily by the New York Times. I do hate, they've now moved to a lot of subscribers only stuff. But
Okay.
basically, if you're a daily listener like I am, or try to be, I'm more selective now. But you basically have to listen within a certain time frame before it turns to subscribers only. So the 2 episodes I'm going to mention, sorry, they are for subscribers only. But if you are a subscriber, these were excellent. One was the October 22nd episode was about the Louvre. It was all about the heist, and it was fascinating. And the second one was October 25th episode was about Anthony Hopkins. And it was like a 45-minute interview with Anthony Hopkins about his new book, which I pre-ordered. I'm getting it tomorrow. I can't wait. And it was such a good interview. He's one of my favorite people, had such an interesting life so far. Really interesting dynamic with his child. So if you're
Okay.
interested in that, great. I tried to get an autographed copy, by the way, Jared, sold out everywhere. I was
Oh.
looking at one that was $80, and I was like, Katie, rein it in, girl. So I didn't buy that. I bought a regular hardback copy.
Regular hardback. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, now we'll get into our discussion on One Battle After Another. This movie came out about a month ago in September of 2025. Rated R for lots of different reasons. 2 hours and 41 minutes. IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes both very high. IMDb is an 8.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes critics 95%, audience 85%. Box office wise, it's made about $190 million worldwide. There's been a lot of discussion about the box office and is it going to make back its budget and yada, yada, yada. A lot of discourse about that throughout just movie Reddit and Twitter and everything else. But honestly, I feel like they probably don't care if they're going to get a bunch of Oscar nominations, and they were just going to make this movie anyway, based on the director and the cast and everything. So the synopsis for this one is: when their evil enemy resurfaces after 16 years, a group of ex-revolutionaries reunite to rescue the daughter of one of their own, and that group is called the French 75. And so that is who Leonardo DiCaprio is a member of in this movie. And this movie is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who's done a lot of big movies. Licorice Pizza, There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread. He's been nominated for 11 Oscars, but has yet to win one. Some people think that this year might be
I
the year
think,
that
yeah,
happens. Yeah.
I could see that for
For
sure.
best director for sure.
Mhm.
He does not have any upcoming projects. He only comes out with a movie about every 4 or 5 years, so
Mhm.
it's probably going to be a little while before we get another one. He has been together with Maya Rudolph for quite a while. They've been a couple for over 20 years now, and they have 4 kids together, but they are not legally married. But they have been a very successful celebrity relationship, being together for that long. So
Yeah, what a cute couple. I'm into it.
yeah. So
Oh, Jared, I did wonder about box office just because you and I had kind of talked a little offline about it. I do wonder how there is such a variance in how much they thought they were going to make versus how much they spent. To me, is that like poor planning on their part though? Like why
I
I don't know if
think,
they paid the salaries too high or
yeah,
I
I
just don't
think
know what
so.
they could have
The
spent that money. That's crazy to me. Like that is a huge disparity.
people think the budget is probably about $150 million for this movie, which is the most expensive Paul Thomas Anderson movie that's ever been
Uh-huh.
made. And if you watch the movie, you could see why, because it's got a lot of sequences in it that are like expensive to shoot.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know what their thinking was here. If they thought we're gonna get a well-known director, a well-known actor, this is gonna have awards buzz, and maybe this is like an investment for us. We're going to, for Warner Brothers, I think, who made this movie.
Oh,
Um,
I don't
you
know.
know, it's maybe an investment for us in the fact that, yeah, Warner Brothers, that we're
Oh,
going
okay.
to get a
Yeah.
lot of awards nominations and maybe wins, and so it's gonna, you know, give our studio prestige mainly. I could see them doing that. I don't know if it just got expensive because of shooting and things like that, but I don't know why they would have thought this would ever make back $150 million, which you have to make about double that to actually make money. So
Mm.
about 300 million after you consider the marketing and paying for the theaters and all that stuff. So it's not going to get to that amount for sure. But I don't know. I don't know why they budgeted this so high and why they thought this was going to like be a box office
I mean,
success.
I'm
So
not a professional either, but I'm also like, dang, a lot of us have to manage budgets and things in life. I just think it's crazy. Like, I almost wonder if they didn't plan appropriately for marketing and things and just kind of went,
mhm.
whatever, spend it, who cares?
Yeah.
Because that's what it
Yep.
sounds like to me. This sounds like kind of some poor monetary management.
Yeah, I think so too. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the cast and we'll talk more about one battle after another. So we're back here on the show talking about one battle after another. Leonardo DiCaprio in the lead role in this one, who plays Bob in this film. His character is Bob Ferguson, and he has been in a lot of movies throughout the course of his career. And of course, he's a very well-known actor. Do you have a favorite Leo movie
Oh, that's a
right off the?
good
I mean, that's kind of just threw it
question.
out there, but there's so many good ones.
I know. I mean, I really did like him in Wolf of Wall Street. I hate his character, but
Yeah, I think I'd probably have to go Wolf of Wall Street as well.
yeah. Now
I
I
mean,
like Inception. I don't
Titanic is
think
great. Yeah.
oh Titanic. I now okay. If we're talking about crush alert, like what movie made me go, oh, I love Leo, or this is the
Who's
guy I
that
would date?
guy?
For sure, Jack Dawson would be the character, and not Romeo. Like that movie
Okay.
was fun to watch as a teen, but like I hate the story of Romeo and Juliet. I'd say it to Will's face. Will Shakespeare, if he was alive today, I'd say your worst play. Hate it.
Wow. Okay.
He
I'm throwing it out there.
understands. He would get it. He'd be like, I made some mistakes.
He'd be like, you know
I
what? Macbeth is better. I'm just,
yeah.
just let me throw it out there.
You said it. Oh, I forget. We're not in a theater. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think those would be the two. Inception's really good. I mean, The Departed's good. There's a lot of good ones,
hmm
but I think Wolf of Wall
Yeah.
Street stands out. Like that's the one I wanted him to win an Oscar for.
Yeah, so he's won one Oscar for The Revenant, just because they were like, we got to give Leo an Oscar at this point, and that was basically the performance that won it for him, even though that's probably not his best performance. He's been nominated for 6 Oscars. He's got a lot of projects upcoming where he is a producer, and then 9 upcoming acting projects, including Jim Jones, Roosevelt, and Heat 2. Yeah, another Heat
Mm.
movie's coming down the pipeline. So
Listen, I loved the movie Heat. I talked about that recent, like within the last year or
it's a
two. I saw it
great
for the first
movie.
time, but I don't know why they're remaking it. And I also couldn't tell if they were doing a series, like a limited series, or if they're doing a film.
I think they're doing a movie for Heat 2,
Okay. And I
but
saw the cast and I was like, those are all good actors. But I don't know. We'll see when it comes out.
yeah,
Also, I don't know if I put this in the notes, Jared. Yeah. He has 19 upcoming producer projects. Like
that's
just
crazy.
for producer, 19 projects listed on IMDb already.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So, and we should say Heat 2 is based off a book that came out a couple of years ago, written by Michael Mann. So
Did
there's some
not
source
know
material
that.
there, but
Okay.
Heat 2, yeah. Next up in the movie, Sean Penn, who plays Colonel Stephen J. Lockjaw, known for lots of movies as well, including Mystic River. He's really good in that. Milk, Dead Man Walking, and I Am Sam. He's been nominated for 5 Oscars. He's won 2 for Milk and Mystic River. And then he's going to direct an untitled film about a journalist who was murdered, which will be pretty interesting. But his performance in this movie is definitely controversial
I let me think
and
of how.
unlikable, I would say.
Yeah, let me think. Yeah. Oh, also that untitled film. I'm fine with him directing it. I hope he's not in it, but he's so in love with himself, he probably will be. But it's about Jamal Khashoggi, if anybody remembers him getting murdered brutally. Um, I cannot stand Sean Penn. I don't even know how to explain to you. He makes my skin crawl. I cannot stand him in interviews. I cannot stand him. I don't know how to explain it. I will tell you this because you know how I feel about Tom Cruise. I would rather have dinner with Tom Cruise than Sean Penn. That's how I feel. Because Tom Cruise seems somewhat charming, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I
He
think
can
he's
turn it on. Yeah.
yeah, like I think he's a little off, but I think we'd have a nice conversation. Sean Penn, I would be scared he would like light himself on fire at the table just to get a reaction or
Also, like
swallow
Tom
arsenic and be like,
Cruise.
let's see if I survive.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what are we doing here?
Tom Cruise, you'd be able to like talk about like Mission Impossible movies and like Top
Yeah.
Gun. Like it would be
A
like
few
cool to
good
talk about
men.
those like
Yeah.
yeah, like those big stunts he's done and stuff. Sean Penn ain't doing any
Yeah.
stunts really in movies.
He
So
is so weird. I can't stand him. And there's so many roles, especially this one, where I'm like, are you acting or are you just being Sean Penn with a little bit of character? I don't know. I can't stand him. He was spooky as hell, though. I will give him that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and he was phenomenal in Mystic River, but again, I think he is just such an unlikable lunatic. Um, in all capacities that he scares me. He scares me. I don't understand. Anyway, he was fine.
Yeah. You want to watch a movie where he's is pretty full of himself?
Mhm.
Check out The Tree of Life from
No thanks.
2011,
No
starring Brad Pitt.
thanks.
But Sean Penn's in that. That might be the most like I'm Sean Penn performance
Ugh.
that I've ever seen.
Well,
So
you know who I was pumped about. Also, Jared, I didn't even consult with you about who we should include as our top 3. I'm sorry.
no, I
But
think
the
this is
third
the right
one,
top 3.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Chase Infiniti. The reason Jared knows what I'm going to say. She is from Indianapolis, Indiana. I could not believe it when I heard it. Then I looked up. She also went to college at Columbia in Chicago, Columbia University, which I have a friend going there now. Shout out Kate. And so very, very exciting. She was phenomenal. I was blown away. I actually was blown away by 2 performances, and that was one of them. And she was also in an Apple TV Plus show called Presumed Innocent that Jake Gyllenhaal was in that I really liked. And so if you want to see her other work, that's what she's been in so far. I am positive she's going to get other projects. She does have a couple movies listed so far. One's called The Julia Set, and then a TV series called The Testaments. And then there were some other big names, fantastic performances in this movie. So this movie was also starring Tiana Taylor, Regina Hall, Alana Haim, and Benicio del Toro, who I absolutely loved. I love him so much. He's good in everything.
Thank you, Sensei. And we should mention too, Chase Infinity, if you're wondering, went to North Central High School in Indianapolis. So
Thank you. I
yeah.
didn't know that. Okay, good. They were marching band
So
rivals for us, though.
okay.
It's
Well,
okay. I'm over it, clearly.
you've moved on.
Yeah.
So likes for this movie. Obviously, the cast is really well put together. The casting in this movie is great. Everybody's performances are really, really good. Um, Chase Infinity probably being the standout here just because she
Yeah.
hasn't been in very much. So you don't really have a big body of work to go off of. And the fact that she is able to command this performance, along with somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn, who she is sharing scenes with a lot in this movie,
Hmm.
is really impressive in terms of the fact that she just has not been in that much stuff and is able to kind of hold her own with those two, big name actors. Also, Benicio del Toro is really good in this movie as well.
Love.
Plays a very funny sidekick character, kind of like helping, but also a good guy. Like
Hmm.
he's basically created his like own version of like the Underground Railroad.
Yeah, he's
So,
kind of the only good guy in the film. I would say, like
yeah.
I would say Regina Hall plays a pretty good character, but I would
hmm
say Benicio is really the only one that's like very, really straight late. Like he's helping people. I don't know. I don't know how to better explain it, but he's good in everything I've ever seen him in. He was such a scene stealer. And then Chase Infinity amazed me because you know how sometimes I think in TV shows and movies, someone will play a teen and they act way too immature, or they like play way more mature than the age they're supposed to be portraying. She did such a good job of being like a teenager. She was clearly like cool and confident and comfortable in her skin, but the moments when she was up against like uh, murdering someone, things like that, she reacted the way I think a person that age would really react, and I was blown away by that. So kudos. Her and Benicio, they were my two favorite performances.
You can also tell too from like Chase's performance that she had channeled some of Tiana Taylor's performance as well
Uh-huh.
as Perfidia Beverly Hills and had some of those characteristics that her mother had as well.
Yep.
So that was really well done too. Sean Penn, not likable, but his character in this movie, I would say this is a very good performance from him in
It
terms of playing
was.
this extremely unlikable character. I
Hmm.
think he does a really good job with it, but he's very unhinged in the movie. And then Leo, this is a good Leo performance. This is
It
kind of
is.
a
I would
more
agree.
like this is like a little more laid back Leo performance. It's not as showy as something as like Wolf of
Hmm.
Wall Street or even like Inception or something like that. But you could tell that like he's kind of still wants to like do well and do good and try to save his daughter, but also is a little off his game, like he's just a little out of it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he's not like at 100% like operation level basically, so that adds a lot of comedy in the movie where he's just like kind of struggling and is a little bit of like a fumbling
The
idiot at times, like going through this trying to save his daughter. So
Yeah, I actually really I agree with you. He like downplayed things. I thought he was less showy than other performances and I liked it. And I thought the movie, even though he might have been considered the star, I feel like he really let other people shine. I don't like his parenting style, and Leo in real life, I have more an increasing list of things I don't like about him, but he was really good in this performance. The scene where Leo is screaming into the phone and swearing left and right to this man. God bless. And Benicio just goes, "It's 8:15," which wasn't even the
also
answer, but it was so funny. So
Also,
funny.
him constantly trying to plug his phone in, like while that before that happens too. Like he's trying to run away from the police and these people
Yeah.
that are like out for him, and he's like, "You gotta charge my phone." And he
Yeah.
plugs it in for like 3 seconds, and then Benicio's like, "Bob, come on, we gotta go." And he's just like unplugging the phone and running to the next spot. Really, really some good like physical comedy acting from
Yeah.
Leo in
Yeah.
this movie. So yeah.
Agreed.
Um, so the music and the sound editing was good in this movie too. The theme is really interesting. It's like this like piano notes thing that just kind of plays
Mm-hmm.
like, especially once the movie gets going and we're like in like the kind of cat and mouse game of it. It's just it adds to the tension. It keeps it moving along. And I really did like the score for the movie, even though it's like a very simple score, but it is a very good score.
Uh-huh. I would agree. I thought it was a really good score. I noticed it. I just thought the sound editing was really good. It's something I never really notice, but I especially liked they have these devices for anyone who hasn't seen it. There's like a device they can carry around that Leo and excuse me, Chase can carry around. And if they're near each other or if they're near anybody that's also in the French 75, it'll go off. It just plays like a chime, like a sound, so that you know that someone who's like on your team or whatever is nearby. That was such an interesting use of sound. And when they edited it in and the times that came up, I thought that was really clever and added a lot to the film. And you don't see a lot of like devices like that in films where you have to pay attention to sound to know what's going on. So I thought that was good. I noticed it.
Some other things we'll mention just kind of briefly. Pacing was good. I would say the beginning of the movie felt a little slow, and then like once Willa gets like kidnapped, it's like boom. We are like after that, I was like, okay, we're moving and grooving now.
Yeah.
Up until that was a little slow though, but it was
To
well
me,
paced.
oh, sorry. I was
Oh,
going to say to me there wasn't any scene where I was like this needed to be cut. Like that like cut this 5 minutes out. So I knew it was a long movie and it felt long, but it was so engaging that I was like I wasn't bored. I didn't want to walk out. Like really good pacing. Um, the next thing I wanted to know that I really want to highlight because obviously I feel strongly about certain topics and stuff. I appreciated that they limited the political content. It was very clear that there were like opinions on deportation camps and all these other things. And I don't really disagree with the opinion there. But I loved that they did not do blatant agenda pushing throughout the entire film. That would have been exhausting. It would have been too much. You would have lost me as a viewer, even if I agree with what's happening. And so I thought they did such a good, careful job of saying, hey, this is how we feel. This is obviously a political statement. This is obviously talking about times we're in right now and how it's affecting our world. And then they moved on. And I was like,
mm-hmm.
perfect. Absolutely
Just
perfect.
kind of left it up to you to figure that out for yourself without like hitting you over the head with it. It's like you can clearly tell that the French 75 are like a left leaning, like liberal group. And then like Sean Penn's character, very much more like on the Republican side of things. And then also with the freaking Christmas Adventurers Club, like
Oh
basically
my.
like kind of a modern day like KKK almost
Yeah,
type
yeah,
situation
for
going
sure. For
on
sure.
there. But again, they never say that. It's just through
Nope.
the writing and through the acting, and so you just kind of figure that out for yourself. But Christmas Adventurers Club was honestly hilarious. Um, so
In the
good.
notes, I put the Christmas Tree Club because I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember the name. I was like,
What do they
you know,
say to each other like when they go into that room and then they
I
say some
don't
Christmas
know.
phrase to
It's
each other? I
so
forget what it is, but it's
creepy.
like deck the halls or something, and
Yeah.
then like that's how they
they
introduce themselves to each other. But
yeah. That
yeah.
that group was so spooky to me and they picked really good actors for that. I love Tony Goldwyn. I think Tony Goldwyn is good in everything. He's kind of one of those people that's in a lot, but he's never like the main character except for Scandal. Um and John, is it Hugenacker?
I
He
think so, yeah.
Oh my gosh, those two together were so good because they play it like, oh, we're just like white dads. But really, you're like,
Mhm.
you are the spawn of Satan, and you are talking as if it is just a regular Tuesday and you're going to the grocery store. But really, you are ready to clean out anyone who is not the Aryan race. And it's just
Mhm. And
crazy the stuff they were talking about.
I did think it was interesting. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but I did think it was interesting after they found out that Sean Penn was like the basically biological father for Willa. They're like, "Well, we have to go kill Sean Penn." Like I thought that was kind of like it like this like we have such high like standards basically of our group that like we're not even allowing this guy that we've already kind of accepted into the
Hmm.
program to like be a part of the program.
That's
So,
where they broke from the KKK because there are no standards like
mhm,
that to adhere
yeah.
to. And what was the other? Oh, I did think not to. If you have more to say on that, please go ahead. I was just going to say the last thing that really stood out to me that I liked about this. I mean, obviously it's upsetting either way, but I liked that this was a story where a mom abandoned her child. I shouldn't say I like that. I just think it's interesting. You never really hear about that because it doesn't happen in life as much, where a mother would abandon a child versus a father leaving a family. So I thought that was a really interesting perspective. And I also liked Leo had a lot of issues. Like Bob, as a
Mm-hmm.
parent, really messed up, got high all the time, didn't care to improve himself.
But you could
But
also
I
tell he was like depressed in
Yeah,
a
he had a
way.
lot of
So
like mental
yeah,
health
yep.
issues, but I like how very comfortable he was with having a biracial child and a biracial family and being very involved with her parent. Like her mom was saying like you're not good enough for my daughter when they were, getting when they had just gotten pregnant, and he just took that information and was like I understand. And I really liked that portrayal in particular, and I thought that made the story infinitely more interesting.
My only other like was I wanted to just mention the various like car sequences in this movie because I thought they were outstanding. The one where it's early in the movie but the French 75 is basically robbing a bank and they have to get away. That is just really well shot, really tense. The car basically gets like rammed into, and you see that from inside of the car, which I don't know if I've seen before. Really just created like a visceral like kind of image there on the
Mhm.
screen. The other one where Willa is basically having to escape from basically getting murdered. And she's driving that car. I thought that was really well done and like really tense and really well shot. And then of course the car chase at the end of the movie, which is a very like slow moving car chase. It's not like it's not like Fast and the Furious where they're like zooming in and out and like drifting around corners and like going up on two wheels or anything. It's just like they're just driving over these hills in the desert, but the tension is like so good, and the way that Paul Thomas Anderson decided to kind of shoot that and direct that, I just wanted
Mhm.
to give a shout out to that because I thought that was such a cool car chase sequence without it being
Yes.
like what a normal car chase sequence is.
That whole car chase when he was chasing Willa, my heart was racing, racing. And then
Mhm.
obviously we know how that scene ended, which was also terrifying, and that's exactly where I'm saying Willa reacted, I think, the way an adolescent would react to killing somebody. Sorry, there are
Mhm.
some spoilers. Um,
Yeah.
when it's interesting you mentioned the bank scene though, because this is a perfect segue for me to dislikes. The bank scene I wouldn't have cut, but I did not. That took me out for a second because the way I forget her name, I know it was Pussy something. I really can't remember her name. I'm not
Oh,
trying to be funny. Pussycat?
Jungle Pussy.
Jungle Pussy. Okay. Jungle Pussy seemed so her behavior seemed very out of pocket to me. Like everybody else was kind of, hey, we're here, we're revolutionaries, and they were crazy. But she seemed like very like I don't know, in your face, loud, we're coming for you, just a lot more brash than everybody else.
Mhm.
And I thought that was strange. And the fact that then she murdered somebody was also weird because you could tell they were not in the habit of murdering people
Mhm.
to get their goal or whatever ultimately. So that scene I didn't love, but I totally couldn't agree with you more about the car scenes and how they filmed those. And no wonder, obviously, this movie cost so much to film.
Yeah. So, like, moving on to the dislikes, that's one thing that we can just like talk about now is like kind of the whole French 75 and like people not having remorse basically. Like throughout the whole movie, Tiana Taylor is basically framed as this person that ratted everybody out. I mean, for her to basically go into like witness protection, she gave up the locations and whereabouts of like all of these people that were in the French 75, and a lot of them either get arrested or die. You see that sequence, and so there's that going on. Like she doesn't have any remorse for the situation at all. You already talked about like Bob's lack of concern for his lifestyle. Regina
Yeah.
Hall basically like ratting Willa out at the end of the movie. There's a lot of things that happen here. Sean Penn not having any remorse for the fact that he had a child with Tiana Taylor that he has no desire to like father or
Yeah. He had a
take
screw
care
loose.
of at
Like
all.
the
Yeah.
synapses
There's
were
a
not firing.
that's a big thing this movie is trying to say is like the moral ambiguities of all of these situations.
Yeah,
But
like all
you
these
could view
people
it as a
suck.
yeah, and that could be that is I guess kind of a dislike if you want a movie where everybody's like a good person or has some redeeming qualities. There's not very
Hmm.
many people in this movie that have redeeming qualities. I would say Willa is maybe the only one that has like,
Benicio.
and Benicio that
Yeah.
have like redeeming qualities about themselves and that you can kind of root for in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Jared, you said that beautifully. I couldn't say it better myself, but that was really problematic for me. You're right. Like, I definitely get what they're trying to say. So I'm not like, you know, dinging the score necessarily because of that. But I don't like movies. I don't like characters that show no, uh, not resolution. They don't change, they don't adapt. Um,
Hmm.
so
They
for
don't have any
me,
like remorse or like consequences for that. That's the other thing is like there wasn't a
yeah,
lot of like consequences for the
no,
actions in this movie either.
no.
So,
I think, sorry, everyone. Woo, excuse me. Cut that. I will say two short things. I'll save the Sean Penn thing for the end, Jared. That'll be my last one. Um, I didn't like. There was a lot of lack of explanation for Regina Hall's future. Jared alluded to her ratting Willa out. She did. That actually didn't bother me very much. I think there's always someone in a group that's kind of going to be like, I don't want to die, or I'll take the deal, and she took the deal. Um, but the lack, I feel like they didn't really explain her future, and that was troubling to me because everybody else, I thought they did such a good job of wrapping up their story. Even if it wasn't the ending you wanted, you understood what was happening. She was in a cop car. I mean, they're alluding to either they're going to kill her or she's going to prison. But I just felt like they kind of left that up in the air. Um, Also, one another thing is people when I've been watching interviews, I've watched quite a few about this. They're like, "This is such an original movie. This is original. It's original." It was based on a book. I don't know why they keep saying it's original. Now, I haven't read the book, so I don't know. Maybe they took ideas from it, like maybe it had different characters, and so maybe it's not like 100% this is from a book. But it even said on the thing based on the book by something Pension. I've seen it Thomas Pension. I don't know
yeah,
if that's how
Thomas
you say
mentioned
his name.
the book's called Vineland or
Yes. And I
Vineland.
don't
So,
know, like again, I don't know the premise of that book. I'm just saying don't put that in the credits and then say in your marketing campaign this is such an original film when I'm like it's one or the other. It can't be both. That was irritating. And then the only other thing, again, Sean Penn, save it for the end, but um this is a genuine problem for me that I didn't like about the film. Uh Things that are always going to be rough for me, overt sexualness for the sake of just being sexual. A lot of things, a lot of sexual things that happened at the beginning of the film, but a lot
hmm
of it wasn't necessary for the storyline. You obviously have to know that Perfidia cheats and she has no morals. You have to know that she sleeps with Sean Penn because that's how she got pregnant. Fine. Okay. We didn't need the scene with like the gun and where's the gun going and oh are they having sex here and then they're having sex here and then she wants to have sex every time they like kidnap people or do like it was so overt and it's unnecessary. I get it, like that's a part of life, but gross. And then the racial epithets are is very tough for me. I completely understand like some people that doesn't bother them and I also understand it's necessary for this film, but the amount of times I heard racial epithets like certain words over and
hmm
over, I was like this is too, I mean it was like going to watch Django Unchained or something, like it was that bad. So that really bothered me and I will ding it for points because I think you can get a point across. It's like swearing constantly, which I do swear, but
hmm
if you say the F word so many times in a sentence, people start to lose the meaning because you can come up with original words. There's enough words that you don't have to use an expletive every other word. So that really bothered me. I don't know your thoughts.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that is necessary for like the story, but it can go a little too far at times and be too much. And it's like you've gotten your point across. I don't know if we need to keep having that in the movie like throughout the entire course of the movie. So, especially like when you have a character called Jungle Pussy, like we kind of know where you're going with this film. So,
Well
and
played.
Perfidia Beverly Hills. Like some wild names in this movie. But yeah, I agree with you there. I think, some of it is like you said necessary for because it's trying to talk about, in a way, like kind of what's happening in current day America with like ICE and deportations and things like that. And so while some of that is, I think, relevant for the story, I think there's a point where it like just becomes a little bit too much. So, and you also have to think about the person that's like writing this movie as well. Like Paul Thomas Anderson wrote this, like white guy. So you've got to, I think that factors in a little bit too. in terms of being like maybe too much.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I did wonder about that. I'm glad you brought that up because I had a conversation with a coworker and we were talking about that, like how Paul Thomas Anderson did this, and I wonder what that says when he's a white man. And of course, he has biracial children. He's in a biracial
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Yep.
I think he's an educated man, but it is interesting to get that perspective from someone who is not a person of color. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
My last dislike. This is definitely a spoiler. So if you guys haven't seen it, I don't know who's left in the world that hasn't seen it, but Sean Penn basically coming back from the dead was ridiculous. That is the only thing in this movie where I was like, I actually said out loud, and there were people in the theater, and I forgot, and I said, "Is are you for real right now?" Like I,
I
and
like
other people
guffawed
laughed,
when
but
he like walked up that hill.
yes, because part of it's funny because of his bow-legged choice, his bow-legged walk that was his actor's choice. I was like, wow, cool, that's original. Um,
Like all
but the
like standing
fact
up
that like
completely straight. Yeah. Like
just to set the scene for you all, he'd been shot in the face with a rifle. You don't come back from that,
and
no
also it was in a
matter
car that
in a
flipped
car that
over.
flipped and rolled at like 90 miles an hour and flipped like 5 times. And then he just walks up a hill with half his face blown off. And I thought, in what world? So that irritated me. I mean, part of it's camp. Like, part of it, I get it. Part of it's like, bah, isn't this crazy? He's like a cartoon character. But I did think that then the way he died, to me, it made it a little bit more anticlimactic. Like, he ended up
Mm-hmm.
dying, more spoilers, and they gas him to death. But I was kind of like,
Like
what was the point?
asphyxiation.
Like,
Yeah.
there wasn't even a big conversation that was had. Like I like that the Christmas tree, Christmas tree. I have to say it. The Christmas tree people killed him, had him killed. But I also just think like, what was the point of that? There was no big conversation that they had. There was no like resolution with his character or like tying up a
Mm-hmm.
bow with another character. So I didn't like that choice. And also, if I haven't said already, I just can't stand Sean Penn. So those are my thoughts on Sean Penn and the film.
So I think that's all of our dislikes for this movie. So I'm going to go ahead and give my score for this movie. I'm rating this very high. This is one of my favorite movies of the year. Could be my favorite movie of the year when all is said and done. There's still more to obviously see and watch and everything. So I'm going to give this a very high score, though, of a 95 out of 100. I don't think there's a lot of things wrong with it. As you heard about in our dislikes, most of the things that we mentioned were things that were kind of character based or interpretations maybe we had of the movie, but not things that were like poor filmmaking or bad script or bad acting or anything like, that sometimes we talk about in our dislikes for movies. So I think it's a very well made movie. It's very interesting. It's going to be talked about a lot. It's going to be discussed a lot. I think I could definitely see myself rewatching this one as well. And it was enjoyable kind of the whole way throughout, and great performances and a really interesting story. So 95 out of 100.
That's awesome, Jared. Okay. Mine isn't that high, but it's still pretty high. I am going to give this an 89.
Okay.
I could definitely see this being in my top 5 this year. I could see this winning best picture. There's still a lot of movies coming out though, so I don't want to say this will win or anything. I agree with you. Acting performance is super strong, really engaging story. I love the lack of agenda pushing, saying these are our statements, let's leave it there. I love the message about biracial relationships, and we have people in this world right now that are like the KKK, and they're trying to infiltrate systems, and all of that is really good. I just, some of the things I couldn't get past. I can't get past overt sexualness for no reason. I can't really get past racial epithets like for no reason, like excessive ones. The whole Lockjaw coming back to life, I was like, that's too much for me. If it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, totally, I get it. But it wasn't Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This isn't an animated film. What are they doing? So anyway, uh, shout out to Branton. It's his favorite movie, friend of the pod. But that's just how I feel. But I did think it was a great movie. I can see why people are talking about it. I don't know that I'll watch it again. It kind of depends. But I think it'll easily be in my top 5. It was a really well done film. So 89 for me.
Okay. Nice. I think I would watch it again just for the like sequence kind of with Benicio, and that whole like 40 minutes of the movie that I thought was just like kind of exhilarating. And then also for like the car chase at the end, that was also just kind of, really exhilarating and thrilling sequence. So, but high scores from both of us on One Battle After Another. You can follow the show on social media at Podcast Silver on X and Instagram. So be sure to find us there. Search the Silver Screen Podcast on Facebook. You can find us there as well. Next up on the show, we're going to be reviewing Wicked for Good. And I'm excited because somehow I've avoided spoilers to this point of what happens in the second act of Wicked. I went into the first movie blind, basically, had no idea what happened. And I felt like that made it a really enjoyable experience. So
awesome.
I'm not going to look up what happens in Wicked Act 2. But I know characters from The Wizard of Oz are obviously going to come in to this act of the movie. And of course, it's going to be a big spectacle, big musical, big fall family movie. And I really enjoyed the first one. I think I enjoyed the first one more than I thought I was going to.
Oh, I absolutely did. I'm really looking forward to this. And everyone, sorry our episode is a little bit longer, the last two, but we are doing them infrequently. So we want to make sure to kind of catch you up on things. And as we said, it's Oscar season. So we're very excited to go in depth and talk about these movies. And we know Wicked for Good is going to be a big release for people.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And actually, this episode has 90 more minutes left. So just lock in, and we're not. We're going to be done. So don't worry. You've made it to the end of this episode experience. So on the next episode, though, we will be talking about Wicked for Good.
Until next time, we'd like to thank the Academy.